Welcome to the Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to This Week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. This week we're going to cover Fight to Win Pro 71 in Philly, Submission Underground 7 from last week, Sub Spectrum, the 155 division, and some super fights that happened, as well as the Marianas Open. The Marianas Open, Josh?
I'm going to let you sink on that one.
The Marianas Open in Guam 2018. We're also going to preview the Brazilian Nationals, the USA Grappling Team Trials, Fight to Win Pro 72 in Pittsburgh, Abu Dhabi King of the Mats, Abu Dhabi World Pro, and touch on IBJJF New York.
Which happened today, not next week.
Really?
Yes.
So in other news, I'm your host, Maine, here with my other host,
Josh.
In other news, I've had a fever for about 3 days, so things got a little jumbled this weekend in my brain.
You know what you need?
What do I need, Josh?
Cowbell.
God, I want to die. So let's get right into it, Josh. How's your week?
Better than yours.
That is not a high bar to set.
Well, still better than yours.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
I had to coach a bunch of students on the Saturday with a fever. That went really well.
I didn't really have to do anything on Saturday. I got to hang out. Went to the gym. I lifted some weights.
That's good. I woke up from a fever dream and went, I got to go coach guys for their first competition from my gym.
I went to work. I cut things. Served people food.
It's not a bad week. So, yeah, this week has been a bit crazy with the events. We thought we were going to have like a little bit of a reprieve here.
Everything. Us trying to compound more work than we can handle between two people.
Yeah, I realized that
Editing videos is difficult.
Very difficult, Josh.
Editing a podcast is kind of difficult, even though we've been doing it for 24 episodes.
About 24 episodes.
Yeah.
Give or take there.
Yeah. Dealing with life, moving.
Yep, moving the studio. That's fun.
Happening.
Trying to close on a house. So it's been a big old week for us.
Oh, you're such a baby.
Yeah. So what do we got for news this week, Josh?
What do we have for news? A whole bunch of call outs, some little extra bits of information from other tournaments. That's really it. You know, hey, AJ called out a bunch of people. People responded to him.
As he does.
Big deal.
We're seeing guys call up guys. Well, honestly,
I think Eddie Bravo's response was the best. It's like, pay him no mind. Like,
Jesus.
he's doing that to just goad you on. Just don't pay attention to him.
Look, in all honesty, though, if you're trying to make money grappling, you're trying to get on super fights, and AJ's an active dude. You see him, a couple times a month on fights. You call out your guys, you keep your name active in the thing. Like, Josh loves AJ as he shakes his head at me across the table.
Fuck him. That's all I have to say to that. That's literally the best response is like, who are you again? Okay, that's right. And you pay him no mind. We found out that King of Mats, all the divisions are round robin up until they pick the people with the most wins from each group in each weight class.
Yeah, and we'll get more into that. And once we get in the preview section
bit
of the podcast for King of the Mats for UAE.
But it's kind of awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. Like, there's some more information coming out for some upcoming events. We have some information about the Brazilians, and that'll be in the preview section.
All of the Brazilians?
All of the Brazilians, Josh. All the Brazilians showed up to the black belts, apparently.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later too.
So that'll do it for news. It's a pretty light week for news. I'm not mad at it coming off this fever dream couple days.
You're such a baby.
I mean, you're not wrong, Josh. So moving into Submission Underground 7 that happened Sunday night last week. We didn't get a chance to cover it on the show because it was literally
on while we were recording.
It was literally happening while we were recording. So it's now finished. We've had a week to digest it, and we're going to now go through the main card results for Submission Underground 7.
First of all, let's talk about Fabiano Schörner being almost 300 pounds.
Dude, he is huge.
Did he eat Tim Sylvia?
He might have.
Did he legitimately eat Tim Sylvia? How did he get so big?
But he doesn't look like bad big. He just looks like he's supposed to be that big.
I don't know. It's really weird. I'm not used to it. That's all.
What did he used to compete at?
Well, at heavyweight, but like he wasn't one of those heavyweights that cut down to make the 265 limit.
Yeah, he had to cut now. He'd have to cut a leg off now.
I don't think.
Maybe two.
Weighed in at 296 at the weigh-ins.
That's all? Dude, he looks huge to me.
Because he's a big guy?
How big was Pereira, Gutenberg, when we saw him?
Height-wise or weight-wise?
Weight-wise. Last week on Fight to Win.
Heavyweight? I don't know. He probably wasn't more than 220 some odd pounds.
Man, they were big dudes.
He was shredded.
Yeah, he was shredded.
He was beefy.
So on to the main event result. Fabiano Scherner defeated Bruno Bastos with a
mounted triangle.
It's like a mounted triangle, but he kind of almost like
he mounted triangle.
Kimura the arm a little bit.
He mounted triangled him.
Yeah, and it was a weird angle because he was like pressed into the cage and finished him.
Yeah, it was. There was again so much jiu-jitsu to watch, and this was like backburnered because we were talking about other stuff. So it was playing catch up with this one. We're like, oh yeah, we still need to cover this.
Yeah.
If we don't cover it when it happens, it sort of like becomes an afterthought almost. Not because it's like, oh, it's already done, nobody cares. It's more of like, okay, what do we already...
Really what it is we have to shift all of our notes and do updates on all of our notes and move it from the previous week notes to the following week notes. And a lot of times we forget to do that.
Oh, yeah. And then it becomes like this, the recording ends and the planning for the next episode starts. It's like, what's coming up? What do we need to watch? What are we doing? And it's like, oh, yeah. What are you guys doing in real life right now? Working, video editing, podcast editing,
buying a house,
buying houses, making money, all that other stuff. So
enough about us bitching and like giving you
it's like, hey
view
guys,
behind the curtain of how we do things here.
You want to do a podcast? Step up your fucking game. Stop being a bunch of fucking babies.
Ben, how do you say his name, Josh?
Egley? Ben Egley. He defeated JT Money, Jesse Taylor. And he beat him by armbar at the bottom of the third overtime. Mind you, he was down
on ride time at that point. Jesse Taylor, if anybody's watched him fight, he will grind you out. And he was getting ready to do that. And he just, I don't know if he was tired. He just got lazy. Bandon started in that spider web position, armbar position. And they said, go. And he rips the arm out and gets the tap. And one thing I love about SUG's overtime rules is that at any point in overtime, at least this is how they used to do it for SUG 5 and 6, if, let's say, you're on someone's back and you cross your feet and they ankle lock you, you win. Any tap in overtime is a victory.
Did you forget about EBI rules?
Is that EBI rules too?
Uh-huh.
Like I'm saying, Josh, fever dreams. Fever dreams. It's been a rough week for me.
Yeah, they essentially are just like, we're going to do EBI rules and we're going to put this in a cage. And that's what they did. So I don't think anybody forgot about those things, just you. So Chris Sievert, knee on belly armbar.
Yeah, I liked it.
Real fast.
He gets really dominating grip, turns him to the side, and gets that knee on belly like on the top, kind of not floating ribs, but a little above the floating ribs.
Did he use the handles?
He used the handles, Nate Quarry. God damn. Earlier in the match, Nate Quarry calls, really good with the handles there, meaning like the gi. He's holding on to the gi.
Or maybe he's talking about his handling skills a la basketball, and he's just using that as a term and trying to translate it into jiu-jitsu. He's got them good handles. Are you talking about grips, Nate Quarry?
Yeah, so he had those good handles. And the finishing was really interesting because he turns him all the way to the side, gets like a knee on belly on the floating ribs, and then just rips the arm and falls back. Gets a super quick tap on it. I think this is his second win in a row for Carlos on submission on the ground. So good for him. I think, again, we'll probably see him on an upcoming SUG. He's been on both of them, won both of them. Wouldn't surprise me for us to see him on submission on the ground 8.
Mike DeWitt gets the armbar victory over Joe Buys.
Not Buys Day. I've been calling him wrong the entire time.
Me too, so don't feel bad. In overtime, Joe was looking like he was trying to readjust his arm and let go, and that's when it got taken.
Yeah, and Mike just snatched it out. Mike was doing something really interesting with the feet. He had his legs crossed behind
his elbow, Joe's elbow?
Behind his shoulder, actually, so that Joe couldn't adjust his not armbar shoulder, the other shoulder, out and turn to get out of the armbar, basically. So they say you shouldn't cross your feet with the armbar, but if you do have underneath the shoulder blade. That's the one time I think you should cross because it limits the opponent's mobility.
My legs aren't that long. I can't reach past the other arm. You
Those
gotta be
little
real
stumpy legs,
tiny.
Josh?
You gotta be real tiny for me to do that. I can do that to my kids. I don't think I can do that to an adult.
So Joe taps really quick on this. He adjusted. Mike just ripped it out and gets the win in overtime.
And of course, you know, they had a nice big brown belt bracket. This was 6+ hours of jiu-jitsu. You could tell the crowd was getting a little hungover by it near the end of it. But Sean Weisenberg beats Chase Davis by quickest escape time to win the brown belt bracket.
Funny enough, we actually see Sean Weisenberg this week on Subspectrum that we'll cover a little later. So that does it for our coverage of SUG 7. Good event. Long
Watch
event.
it. It's long, but you can jump around.
Was fun. Honestly, they had some fun matches. We talked a little bit about the tag team stuff last week. They're doing some fun stuff and some entertaining matches. It is a little long, but
the tag team stuff was the most amusing because you start by laying down. And they're like, ready, go. And then you have to get up and go after the opponent.
Why don't you do like a lacrosse drill or something? It's like a ball get drill where you got to basically roll over, find where the ball is on the field, and go scoop it up. But that's what it looks like they're starting for the tag team matches. So it was fun to watch. I want to see if they continue to develop it because even throughout the event, you saw teams figure out how to game the rules. The further and further they went into, like, you watched how the other team did the tag teams, and then you saw the later teams making adjustments based on how they saw the previous team do it.
Not that I mind, but I'd like for them to whittle it down a little bit.
I would agree. I think they need to put a couple more rules into it so we see a little more technical jiu-jitsu out of it because I think it gets
I'm not even talking about the tag team. I'm talking about the event.
It was a little long. It was definitely, I think the event started, I think the whole video was 6.5 hours long, but the event starts at like 58 minutes or so. So the whole event is about 5+ hours long.
Cut it down a little bit.
It's a little long.
It's a little long. That's a long time for people to sit down and watch jiu-jitsu that isn't the World Championships, where, you know, even then people leave and we'll go outside and it's nice because it's California.
Not Oregon.
I'm not saying Oregon is a bad place either. You know, lots of trees and enjoyable things. But it's a long time to sit in a very small area, and you have one area of focus, not multiple areas of focus.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. So that does it for SUG 7. So on to Fight to Win Pro 71 in Philadelphia. What state?
Pennsylvania.
Jesus, man.
It's literally the
Fever
state
dream,
above
Josh. Fever
us.
dream. This event.
The state above us.
It is the state above us. This event paid at a total of $33,348 in salaries and commissions and was headlined by DJ Jackson versus Nick Calvanese. And it had a 52% submission rate.
Climbing back up.
Yep, 17 out of the 33 matches finished by submission. So, you know, getting above that 50%, moving towards that 100% submission rate that Josh wants.
I want it to happen so bad this year.
Dearly. So we're going to start this off with the purple belt results.
Craig McDonald defeats James Steiner by decision. Corey Nasworth defeats Gerson Reigns by decision. Natalie Boss defeats Amy Gillen by armbar.
And that was fight of the night for the purple belts.
Billy Conway defeats Matt Hill by decision. Jess Bermudez defeats Michelle Hunt by heel hook. Tony Gagnon defeats Julio Sepulveda by knee bar calf slicer.
I wonder if that's like the similar one that Seth hit a couple cards ago. Knee bar calf slicer.
Possibly.
I missed this match due to fever.
Excuses. Will Schluster defeats Deontay Simpkins by baseball bat choke.
And that was submission of the night for the purple belts.
Deservedly so.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He hit it from the bottom. Like, he had the lapel over the shoulder, opposite side, starts locking it up. In mount. Like, he's being mounted.
Yeah, this is something I see. It's got a very similar setup when someone's trying to pass your guard. I know it is a suicide choke, because if you don't get it, the guy passes, but you bait the pass and you choke the guy as he passes, but you can also do it from mount, which is what Will does. And it's one of those chokes you don't think it'll work, and then you see the guys get
and then
deeper
you're
and
tapping
deeper and
the
deeper.
guy's face because you're like, please let go, I'm dying.
And then he taps on the face from the mount, which is you see it occasionally, you see it a couple times a year, but it's always exciting when it happens because it's not an easy choke to set up from the bottom.
No, it is not. Jess Bermudez pulling double duty, defeating Yara Helmley by a steamer lock, just taking all them feats home.
Yeah, she has a heel hook win and then a steamer lock victory on the same card.
She went home with 2 extra feet.
Look, good for her. She deserves. Look, you get 2 subs. Look, part of that 51%, 52% submission rate is both her matches. So shout out to her. Great job.
True.
Getting the victory, going for the feet.
Stanley Joseph Zagripski IV. I like that. That's a fancy name. Defeats Jason Santiago by decision.
Moving on to the teen results.
Michael Gillen defeats Peter Kang by split decision.
Fight of the night for the kiddos.
Because
for the teens.
That's the only teens match. Going into brown belts, Keith Patterson defeats Stefan Eisner by toe hold. Or is that Steven? Steven Eisner. Man.
We know a guy named Stefan. It's not as bad.
Okay, it's not. Yeah, and it's spelled that way. So
yep, that's why.
Zach Green defeats Gabriel Tejada by Kimura. Felipe Hosha defeats Steve Wilson by knee bar calf slicer.
Submission of the night for the brown belts.
Maybe they weren't 100% sure what exactly it was. Sort of like the omoplata that was announced from Maryland, but really it was a toe hold.
Yep. Kai, how do you say
Kai.
Kai Bosque?
Bosk.
Last week was announced as finishing omoplata. When the submission highlight came out, you could see he had the foot and he finished a toe hold actually instead of actually finishing the omoplata. So
hey guys, that first omoplata victory is still available.
Yep. So we will hopefully sometime this year see another omoplata victory and fight to win. But
I'm hoping it's coming from the gi.
Yeah.
Pete DeFabio defeats Max Zabriskie by decision. Des McDonald defeats Paul Popplewell by toe hold. I said that pretty good.
I just moved my head like that because I would have messed it up, and I was impressed with you, Josh.
Sean Karn defeats Ryan Thomas by decision. Merlin Ramos defeats Robbie De La Rionda. Wow. I made it through that name too by heel hook. First of all, props to Merlin's parents for naming him Merlin.
You said, is it Ramos? Think it's Hamos or Ramos?
I'm going to go with Ramos. I don't think I've never met a Brazilian person or even seen a Brazilian name Merlin.
I've never known another man to be named Merlin.
Except for Merlin the Wizard?
Except for the Merlin the Wizard. Okay. From King Arthur. Yes, Josh.
Okay. Jack Tankersley defeats Francis Kubak by armbar. Tiago Thomas defeats Adrian Jimenez by decision. Dennis Pressey Jr. defeats John Naples by modified Ezekiel choke.
Not a regular Ezekiel choke.
Modified.
A modified Ezekiel choke.
Daniel Myra defeats Andrew Koschel by decision. John Battle defeats Tyson Antillion by split decision.
That was fight of the night for the brown belts.
And Abby Passanelli defeats Jenny LaFaro by split decision.
Moving on to the black belts.
Kyle Braun defeats Steve Austin by straight armbar, and that is not Stone Cold. That is Steve Austin with the dreads. Tiago Brito defeats Alex Eckling by choke. Roddy Barnett defeats Oleg Alf by decision. Dylan Royce defeats David Porter by decision. That was a very interesting match as well. It was quite back and forth. I've seen David compete a lot.
We've seen him on. Has he headlined before, or we've seen him high on the card before?
We've seen him on multiple cards before. We saw him on the previous Maryland card. He was on the previous Philly card against Daniel Tavares, who was also on this card. He had an awesome slam from that triangle position.
Yes, he did.
From that one.
Made the highlights.
And, he posted on Facebook the next day, and he was like, it was fun. I felt I had more submission attempts where I should have won, but I'm not complaining about it. Dylan took the victory. Hats off to him. He was very gracious.
I like when guys admit that there's a certain way to admit you think you won in a classy way.
Sounding like a giant baby.
Very few people can do it well. And I think the response was very good. I thought I did more to win. Here's why. But hats off to this guy, X, Y, and Z. I just think there's a good way to do it, and very few guys graciously make a case for them winning a match, but thank their opponent. He did it. I thought it was great.
I make the worst excuses when I lose. I'm such a fucking whiny girl. No.
No, you were good on the show when you got Darst.
I know. I'm just bullshitting, but I like to, shit on myself when it comes to those kind of things. It's always props to whoever beat me, and it's never like, well, if this person didn't do this, this wouldn't happen. It's like, I fucking lost. Like, man up. And people are like, this is what I thought I did. This is where I felt I was. I lost. Oh well, moving on to the next one.
Classy response.
Yes, indeed. Daniel Tavares defeats Mike Padilla by decision.
We've seen Mike before on a bunch of stuff.
And we've seen Daniel Tavares all around, all over the place. He's been competing forever. Teammate with, Daniel Beliza. I almost forgot his name. Who unfortunately for people close to his gym, moved back to Brazil. Man.
He moved back like 6 or 8 months ago, right?
Something like that. Strongest dude I've ever gone up against. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of local guys that are that have lineages with him.
Yeah, and I mean, he was up in York, so it wasn't that. It was like a 55, 60-minute drive maybe to train with him. 140 pounds soaking wet. So strong.
I heard he moved, and I was very, very disappointed. I never got an opportunity to train with him.
Were you not here when the seminar happened at the gym?
I was not here. I missed out. I was so disappointed when I heard he moved.
Moving on, Pete Shoemaker defeats Van Flores by rear naked choke. It's kind of weird not kind of weird, but it's cool and interesting that Alex Eckling and Van Flores, who are both from Shaolin's gym in New York, and Alex Eckling now has Master Skya that he runs, and I think Van is there with him. It's interesting that they came down.
New York's not too far of a drive from Philly.
No.
We saw New York guys, saw Bones on the Maryland card, and that's even further of a drive than Philly.
Yeah.
So, realistically, what are we, 3 to 4 hours from New York?
3.
2 hours from Philly, an hour and a half with no traffic.
Yeah.
Maryland's
okay, maybe it's not that bad.
Baltimore's kind of a cool place because I think even we're 5 hours from Pittsburgh, like driving. Like, it's an annoying drive, but it's not doable.
Going up 70, it's the worst.
It's pretty bad, actually.
It's the worst.
Dude, I did that for work one day. I got from here. I drove down to like 30, 40 minutes downstate, picked up a work truck, drove to Pittsburgh, worked in Pittsburgh that day, drove back, then drove back to my house one day for a day of work.
That sounds awful.
It was the worst, one of my worst days in the sewer ever.
The sewer king was disappointed with his work.
It was 10 hours. It was like I think I drove like 12 hours that day for work.
I've driven that in like one shot just to go to one place, not like 4 places.
It was a bad day, Josh. Why you got to shut on my story?
Sorry. Michael John defeated Haim Gonzalez by Japanese necktie.
Which, if you don't know, that was submission of the night for the black belts. If you don't know what a Japanese necktie is, it is like a palm-to-palm Darce variation, neck cranky kind of thing.
Popularized by the 10th Planet guys, sort of like the Peruvian, just a little bit different variation of it.
Yeah.
They feel it's more powerful.
It lets you really crank down on the back of the neck to put the head into the hole, but you don't see the adjustment with the hands after they
I normally use that
angle.
position as like a turnover point where I'll grab right there and I'll just crank them over so they are on their back instead of trying to choke them.
Right. It's usually you sit in a control position, but they figured out that you could choke from it. Get submission of the night for the black belts.
William Wolk defeated Aaron Morris by paper cutter footlock. I missed this. And unfortunately, the video isn't up. I don't know what the hell a paper cutter footlock is. Is it that setup where you do it like the paper cutter choke?
Like the Dean Lister footlock, basically? That Dean Lister does with that reverse grip and turns the foot.
Oh, maybe that's it.
Maybe. I'm not sure. Again, I had a fever, and I missed this.
I had a fever.
Josh, I meant to watch this card.
We need to take a picture of you in a robe with something on your... one of those old water bladders, like
yes.
hot water bladders, the rubber ones, and a glass thermometer in your mouth. I had a fever.
That's my excuse for this week for why my breakdowns and analysis are less than usual, because my brain was cooking for a couple days during this week's events.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, I'm not sure what paper card footlock is. I'll be excited when the videos do come out to rewatch this one. There's a bunch of calf slicers and knee bars on this. I want to see as well. I also want to see the woman that pulled double duty. I want to see both of her matches because
Jess.
I always love watching someone that can show up and get 2 subs in the same night. That's always super impressive.
Hell yeah.
So moving on to the rest of the black belt results.
So James Booth defeats Tim Carpenter by split decision. Both these guys are tough, like grindy competitors. Again, as I stated previously, I've competed against James. It got a little rough. If you can't find the video anymore, if you did, you'd be like, wow, you're a disgusting looking human being when you're fat. And I agree with you. But at one point, I just went on the defensive because I was tired, and Andre Galvald'd me. Like, I went into Turtle, and he stood up on me and, like, transitioned, and I was like, oh, God, this is now, like, forever on the internet. Whatever.
Now it's not, apparently.
Well, I can't find it now. That doesn't mean it's not where I knew where it was. Not that it's not on the internet. And I'm pretty sure I can talk to the promoter and be like, hey, let me get that video and make fun of myself. And Tim Carpenter, I know, is a tough as nails competitor as well. When I did the Philly roll last year at Balance HQ, when they had all of these people showing up, just tons and tons of jiu-jitsu people. I mean, that place was packed.
Is it a Fishtown?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there were specific times even where it's like it was only all black belts, and then it was black belts and brown belts, and then it was black belts, brown belts, purple belts, and then the blue and the white belts came on. It was insane.
So did you run into him there?
Yeah. I was just training, and I would just throw my hand up and be like, who wants to roll? And then run into people that had been on other Fight to Win cards and other things like that, and people I had trained with and haven't trained with in a while. And I sat down to take a breather, and Tim came over and goes, you want to roll? And in my head, I was like, no, I'd rather die in this corner because it's so hot in here. But I said yes, and I tried to berimbolo him, and he immediately yanked my leg through and tried to knee bar me. And from there, I was just on the defensive trying to survive for the next 6 minutes. So it was really fun. He's a really good competitor. It was a really good match, and props to James for taking it. Now, lastly, the main event, DJ Action Jackson defeats Nick Calvanese, who, they were going to be on the same card.
Yeah. By the way, this is fight of the night for the black belt.
Split decision. I can see that. It wasn't one way or another. It was contested a lot on the feet. They were, exchanging grips. It was really tough to where Nick would do something, then DJ would do something. And then DJ near the end secured it with a takedown, if I'm remembering correctly, because this was one of the ones where I didn't. Maine will tell you, I'm normally really good with recollection of matches, and I only
in a weird kind of like Asperger's kind of way. Like Josh can pull out matches from like 2008. Like, oh, these guys met each other in the semifinals of this competition, and like he did this, this, and this in a weird, creepy kind of way, which is why Josh and I got together to do this show, because Josh has this strange savant-like ability.
Elephant memory?
No, Josh. Elephants are cool. It's weird with you.
Elephants are cool. You're not cool like an elephant.
It's just weird. You were elephant-sized when we proposed this podcast.
True story.
But no, he just has this weird ability to recall matches in a creepy kind of way. Like, just remember nuances. Oh, he changed his foot like this, and then I think he steps over. And it's like, Josh, that match was like 7.5 years ago in the semifinals of like this video you saw one time on the internet.
I still remember bright as day the first time Hoffa submitted Cobrinha.
I mean, that's a pretty noteworthy match.
But still, like
you can remember like regular matches with like a guy on the undercard of an event nowadays. Oh yeah, I've seen him before.
Like catching Orlando Sanchez win Worlds at blue belt, and then like 3 years later he's a black belt.
Yeah, stuff like that, Josh.
And when he was much smaller.
So when Josh can't remember this match, it makes me laugh a little bit, because if he can't remember, me with my fever dream ass, I'm not going to remember anything.
I like that you watched this in like a haze, and you were like,
dude,
I guess I'm watching grappling.
I watched it. My notes are useless. Like I have names, and then I have like decision, but it doesn't line up with like looking back at the results that were posted here and looking through my notes. They don't line up. So like the notes I took are wrong.
So you would watch it and then fall asleep and see the results of like the next match, and you'd be like, yeah, that's right.
Dude, I don't know. Like, I don't know what happened. I just know that my brain probably didn't appreciate me not going to a hospital. It was a rough day.
Yeah, it was fight of the night. It was an excellent match. I can't wait for these videos to come up so I can rewatch them, get a better analysis of these. Some of these people eventually I might be going up against, so I want to know what they like to do.
I'd like to watch this card for the first time, Josh. It would be great.
All right, so that wraps up. Again, we did this a little bit differently, like we did last week, where we read through the results and then we talked about it a little bit. Get back at us again and let us know, hey, go back to the old way where you read through the results and then you give us a couple of the matches and you go there and here's your notable, information for this. Or keep doing this because we hate you less.
Or give us another week when I don't have a fever dream and actually can assist in breaking down the matches.
This is just becoming a bullshit excuse now. If you say fever or fever dream
fever
or
dream,
some
Josh.
other shit,
fever dream.
One more time, I swear to God, I'm throwing this mic stand at you. I will throw it, and you know it.
Mike Stone's about 8 pounds. I don't want to do that.
Right in between your eyes.
So another event happened this weekend. Sub Spectrum, their 155-pound tournament happened. It was good, and it was not. I was going to say it was headlined by Jared Dopp, but it wasn't headlined by Jared Dopp. They ran a 16-man tournament and a number of super fights as well, and the headline super fight of the card was Jared Dopp versus
Matt Layton. What an excellent match. We'll get into that in just a little bit. Shout out to Jordan Peitzman for hooking it up with some info with the tournament breakdown, the whole fight card, with info about each of the competitors. Awesome. Maine actually connected with him via Reddit, and then we started shooting messages back and forth. What's funny was he was probably looking at two different writing styles, like, what is wrong with this person? And really it was just two people communicating with him at the same time, which is always amusing.
So he provided information about his event, and it's awesome because he put together a fun event with some really, really great matches, especially for the 55 tournament. Like, there were some names on this that I've seen before, and there were some guys I had not seen before, and it was an exciting event. I'm not going to gloss over it. There was definitely a couple technical issues with the broadcast itself, but
you deal with those things when it's not like it's not backed by a whole lot of power and money. You're not a Kasai, you're not an EBI, you're not Flow Grappling. You're running this.
You're not IBJJF. You're running a tournament to pay.
I'm assuming
guys.
He's mostly running it on his own, like getting all of this set up, and there are other people that are helping him with camera and audio and other things like that. And like Maine said, there were some issues with the audio. Shit happens though. I'm not going to get upset that the audio would randomly cut out and then would be back on. He even apologized. Or I don't know if it was Jordan doing the commentary.
I did not
or
catch who was doing the commentary, but it was a single man commentary booth, which if you've ever done that, is one of the harder things to ever do on a microphone because you have no one to bounce anything off of. So did a good job. Again, the event was a fun event. They put on good matchups. The bracket was set up. I'm not sure if he seeded it or didn't seed it. Bracket was set up in a good way. We saw a bunch of guys we've seen before. We saw Keith Krikorian, who is their current 155 champion and their former 145-pound champion. We've seen him on EBI. We've seen him on Sub Spectrum before. We've seen him on Checkmate Submission. If you watch submission-only grappling, you're familiar with Keith Krikorian just for being on EBI alone. We saw another guy, Josh, give me this name again.
Pierre-Olivier Leclerc. Come on, stop messing up the French Canadian's name.
It's not great. We saw him last week on Kasai Pro 2.
At 185.
Yeah, he made 155 for this event. So he was on there, looked amazing. We saw Damon Morgan. We saw
Alexander Rasik. I know I'm saying that wrong. And, we heard it multiple times, but still screw it up. We probably screwed up Jordan's last name too.
Back when Metamoris ran their challenger event, he was someone who had won a bunch of matches on that event.
Yeah, he went through, and he's quite accomplished for only being a purple belt. Same thing is said for Keith Krikorian, who's now a brown belt, apparently.
Yep, Keith Krikorian got promoted to brown, I think a couple days ago as of this recording. So sometime late April, Keith got promoted, which, again, with how he looked at this event, with his ability to entangle the legs and attack the subs, he ends up winning this event, and it was... Spoiler. You listen to the podcast, we're going to spoil stuff. He looked good. He looked dominant. His escapes when he went to overtime were great. We've seen him win the qualifier for EBI. And he knows how to play the EBI rules, and Subspectrum is using those EBI rules. And so when someone gets on his back...
He modifies them, they modify them. But yes, they do use those EBI styles rules for the overtime.
You say go, and Keith turns and rolls as hard as he can to get out of the back. And there's a couple matches where he would get out immediately. The guy would just not have a good enough grip on him, and he would just turn, and be out in 2 rolls. So, it's really cool to see a guy like Keith coming up in the sub-only movement and learning how to play those rules to get the victory. And, he's obviously a guy we're going to see more of. We've seen him on the Challenger. We've seen him on ABI. Seen him on Subspectrum,
Yeah, he's somebody to watch, Granted, it's no gi. I will watch all grappling. Myself personally prefer gi grappling, but I watch everything.
I'll watch either one. I have really no preference. I like watching grappling.
The thing that, talking about my love of gi grappling, Jared Dopp versus Matt Layton. Oh my goodness. Like, you expect, okay, maybe you don't know who Matt Layton is. And you're like, it's this guy. And then you have Jared Dopp. And you're like, I know Jared Dopp. That guy's fucking beast mode.
Yeah, he's headline Fight to Win. He's what are his championship accolades, Josh?
I can't 100% recall at the moment. Why you gotta call me out like that?
Josh, you got that photographic jiu-jitsu memory.
Suck it. He's multiple time ADCC veteran. He third, I think it was. He placed.
I think so. High finisher.
Yeah, had a great match with Shanji. I believe he won worlds at brown belt.
I think he's got a world championship at the colored belts. Yep.
One of those. He's had great matches with Muhammad Ali coming up, especially when they both had gotten their black belts roughly around the same time. They were going at it.
Jared Dopp is a guy that you've seen compete with guys at the highest level.
Win or lose.
Win or lose, but he's competed.
Exciting.
He's always competed. Who's he under?
Lovato.
Yeah. A Lovato guy, got that heavy wrestling pressure game.
Matt Layton made Dopp look kind of bad. Like, not saying Dopp is bad, but Layton's game just shut Dopp down.
I was impressed.
His inversions.
I did not expect
his worm guard, like his mobility in general was impressive. And we've seen Layton on a Fight to Win card, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think we've seen him recently too.
Yeah.
Like, he's a guy we've seen that we've covered on the show. So
if I went through my notes, it would probably pop up somewhere within the last few cards, and it was like, I like this guy's guard. And it's probably exactly that. It was Fight to Win Pro 66.
Yep, and he was against Neto.
Yeah, Ignacio Neto. And I checked in my notes. I like this guy's guard. So, amazing guard, swept Dopp repeatedly. Like, got underneath of him, went for crab ride, tried to take the back. Dopp would, like, get out. He would pressure in and everything like that. But he repeatedly would, like, go from guard, would use worm guard, would use De La Hiva, would use Berimbolo, and would sweep him. And it was awesome. And maybe I missed something, but I'm pretty sure it was a unanimous decision for Layton. Layton was pretty much on the attack the entire fight. So, yeah, it was, because they again, it's not a big card where you have all these people and you've got your own set of judges over here, and you can get Bruce Buffer to read your results and everything like that. You know, they're putting this together. And again, props to them. More Subspectrum. And
yeah, definitely. Like,
if you have a card like this, like the checkmate submission thing, which we couldn't find any video feed for, but again, I would love to watch it if there's video of it. If you run something like this, get in contact with us. We will talk about it.
Yeah, I love any event that is paying grapplers to win and to perform. Like, that is one of the main things for this show. Is Josh and I like to cover top level grappling, and that's IBJJF, that's UAE, that's ADCC, but we also like to cover professional grappling.
Right, Fight to Win, Marianas Open, Sub Spectrum, Checkmate Open, anything that pays you to compete, like you have a chance to win money, we'll cover it. And again, Jordan got in contact with us, and started sending us this information, was super friendly and super helpful.
Got me hyped for the card. Like, I looked at what he sent us for who was on the card with like their accolades. I was like, damn, that's a good guy. Damn, that's another good guy. Damn. And it was a bunch of matches that were guys that were well matched against each other. Like, there was not guys on this card that I thought were super overmatched, no one that was super undermatched. Like, everyone on this event could compete with the other guys in the 55 bracket, and that's why the bracket was so fun to watch. And
that's the other thing. Like, you don't, and we threw out some names, and you might not know specifically about these people, but if the match is exciting, we're going to talk about it. You don't know about these people. Well, now you do. You heard it here first on the Grappling Rewind podcast. You heard about Joe from Indiana wrecking shop, and you're like, damn, this guy is fire. I got to keep an eye on him. I got to make sure when I hear about his name on this promotion or that promotion that I'm going to follow that person. I'm going to make sure I'm going to get on that Instagram, Facebook, and follow that person as a grappler.
Because the people you see on these undercards now are the people that you see on the main cards in 2 years, 3 years. Like, that's
in 6 months.
That's how grappling works. Like, people you don't know about put on a great performance, and then they're all of a sudden on a main card, all of a sudden competing, and you realize that, they actually are really skilled, and like they can compete, or not maybe just compete, but be competitive with that upper echelon of guys. And grappling is such a diverse skill. It's styles make fights, styles make matchups. There may be someone from some smaller school in some other place in the country or other place in the world that we haven't talked about before, we haven't seen before. And events like Sub Spectrum showcase some of those people to make me go, oh yeah, if I see this guy in Fight to Win, I'll take note, because I remember he's got a really good guard, or he's got a really good, passing sequence, or he does something really cool with his hands for this submission I saw. Let's see if he can do it again.
And that's what we're really big on too, is like watching the technique. And a lot of times you hear, sort of play-by-play kind of breakdown from us, but we really enjoy the finer details of what's going on. This is why we watch hours upon hours of jiu-jitsu. This is why my wife is like, are you done watching this now? Are you done? And she calls it my homework. She's like, you done your homework? I'm like, yeah. We go and do her things, and then I come back and I watch more stuff. And, she understands it. She's like, I get this is part of your life, but she also rolls her eyes while she's saying that.
But go back and watch Sub Spectrum. It's up on
Jordan Peitzman's Facebook page. I don't know. He said it was going to be on it. It might be on there now. Maybe Maine and I are really stupid and just couldn't find it at that point on that page. But it's on his page. It's public. You can watch it.
Yeah, I'd recommend go watch it, because again, the matchups for the 55 bracket were fun. Like, it was a fun event to watch.
Awesome.
And again, every time I see Keith Krikorian, he has a beard now, which threw me off. Every time I see Krikorian, I'm more and more impressed, and I think he's a guy that in the sub, he's brown belt. Like, he just got his brown belt. He's a guy we're going to see on more and more submission-only events, and especially anything that uses EBI rules. I think he is a force to be reckoned with any event. He's a 55 defending champion for Sub Spectrum. He's their 45 champion previously. Former 45 champion. Like, he's a dude we're going to see.
Yes, and Matt Layton is another guy that, fell out of my mind a little bit, but is back, and I'm going to watch this guy more. If I see him on Fight to Win again, I'm going to make sure to watch that match intently.
You can give dot problems, like,
because
you can give skills. A guy that competes at ADCC problems, like, you become
Well, again,
a guy
it was
I
in
want
the
to see.
gi, so you can say like, well, it was in the gi, it wasn't no gi, but still, the guy's a beast in the gi as well. So you beat him, you gave him issues. He couldn't do. There was a point where Dop could have readjusted his leg and stepped up and out of the worm guard, but Leighton adjusted. He either saw it or felt it and readjusted his grip and sucked in his leg more so he couldn't pull it out and lift it. He just knew where it was going. I really am trying to get to Chicago sometime in the summer. He's out of Bonsai New Breed. That's in Chicago. I'd love to train with him. I would love it. Mark Vives would love to train with him. Train under the same place, so maybe it'll happen. Who knows? Watch it. Go back and watch it. Great tournament. Smaller guys. It's not all these big dudes where you're like, oh, you're Gary Tonins or you're Eddie Cummings or, Hanato Canutos, whoever. Smaller known, lesser known guys. Still great matches to watch.
So on to the 2018 Is it Marinas or Marinas, Josh?
I call it Marianas.
Marianas Open 2018 out of Guam, which is a American territory?
Yeah.
Pacific Island territory?
It's part of the American territories, technically.
Other side of the world, kind of super weird time zone?
Near Japan.
Yeah, Josh, that place.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
this started at like 9:30 at night on Saturday.
No. It was supposed to start at 9. It started at 10:15. We were on Brazilian time hard for this one, Josh.
Angry. You are angry.
Yo, I was confused. I thought I missed it because they were just playing the boilerplate image of like who it's sponsored by, and they rolled that pre-roll for like an hour. I was like, did I miss this event? But I could hear commentary in the background of it, so I was losing my mind that I had the wrong feed or I couldn't find it or something was going on. But nope, it just started at 10:15.
Oh man! So let's talk about some of the things we've talked about him before. I'm gonna keep talking about him because he's awesome. Masahiro Iwasaki is a damn beast. Like I think other people are sleeping on him. I mean he didn't make it to the finals, but dude went at it with
Dorino.
Yes. And he beat him by referee's decision, but he still went at it.
I think that was the closest decision of the night.
You remember Europeans?
Yep.
How he went at it with Michael Lange?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was him.
And it was close. It was a close match. Like this dude just knows when to go.
Gilbert Burns thought he had it. I mean,
he did.
Thought he had it, and then Iwasaki had his hands down. Burns had his hands up, and then the judges' split decision gave the victory to Iwasaki.
Yeah,
we're in the lightweights, by the way, and lightweight for Marianas Open is 180 pounds.
Yeah, up to that. So there's a whole lot of people
which explains why Burns is at lightweight, because he's at lightweight in the UFC, which is 50. Is he lightweight? Yeah, he's lightweight for UFC.
Yeah, he cuts for that.
And that was last week, so I was like, I don't know how he's making it, but no, it's to 180. And Dorino walks around at like 180, 185,
Something
I
like
think.
that.
Dorino's a big guy.
Yeah. So a lot of these people are in different weight classes, like medium heavy, medium light. Iwasaki's definitely in the lightweight division, legitimately. Servio Tullio defeated Michael Lira Jr. 4-2, and Michael Lira was a late replacement for Andras Bernovskis. So that was really cool that he stepped in. So Hanato Canuto defeated Diego Romulo, and Izaki Bahens defeated Mike Sanchez.
That was in the quarterfinals.
That's the quarterfinals. That's the quarterfinals.
I love their ring too. Their ring made
it was kind of tiny though.
It was small, but I'm saying the way it looked. Like it reminded me of 1990s, like late 90s fight footage. Because it had that like pulled out camera with the weird lighting, and the ring was a little too small, and it had like cool logos on it.
Was somebody going to get stabbed, or they were
what it looked like?
Dip their rope covered hands in glue and then glass and metal shavings?
Josh, that is a African boxing sport. Dambe.
I'm talking about kickboxer.
Oh, nope. I'm talking about a real sport called dambe, and they wrap the hand in rope, and they put it in pine tar, and they put it in glass shavings, and they fight with one glove. The sport's changed now to be
Jimerson?
No, but it's glass shavings. And then now the sport's adjusted to just one glove, and it's actually like boxing, but it's called dambe, and it's an African sport.
Oh, I was just more so making a reference to kickboxer when, Jean-Claude Van Damme dips his hands in the glue and then they dip it in the other stuff and they're doing the real underground kickbox fighting.
So back to grappling.
Semifinals.
So the lightweights.
Renato Canuto defeated Servio Tullio 9-zip. Izaki Bahens submitted Masahiro Iwasaki. Then we came to the wildest shit ever.
That's one way to put it, Josh.
Izaki Bahens and Renato Canuto went at each other like somebody stole somebody else's lunch money.
This is for the finals, man. Like, if you're going to do it, this is the way to do it.
Yo, they went at each other like each one of them had a naked picture of the other's mom. Like, yo, I'm going to show all our friends this picture of your mom. She's naked. They were like, the fuck you are. I'm going to beat you up because of this. They went at it. They went at it like you were trying to dip two cats in a tub. They did not want to be in that water.
Visual descriptions, Josh. Visual descriptions.
Thank you. It was a scramble fiesta. Every time something happened, somebody was popping back up to disallow it from happening.
This was a match that I think would be a nightmare to score if you were just learning how to score advantages.
No, I think it's a great learning tool that you should use for referees to be like, how would you score this? Please explain why.
From a tool, like if you're going to watch a match and you're interested in actually learning how to score jiu-jitsu, this is a great one to watch because at one point, Canuto argues with the ref about how a specific takedown was not scored, and if you understand how the rules are set up, you'll understand why the takedown didn't score, and Canuto's doing what he should be doing and arguing with the ref. If they're not going to give him a penalty for it, always advocate for yourself, but it's clearly not a scoring takedown, so it doesn't get scored. And there's a couple instances like this in the match. The other
thing where Bahens starts on the bottom and starts with the motion to try to sweep and then comes up and they go up to the feet, and obviously you can't call it a sweep right now because
until the other person lands back on top.
Well, nobody's in guard anymore. There's no guard to transition the position from one point to another. So it becomes sort of like a weird scramble position, and Bahens works to take him down and eventually gets him down, but again, the scrambling still ensues.
Canuto does not want to get taken down, and Canuto pops kind of
like
to
keeps
the side
popping
again.
Back up, trying to roll away. The thing with this, though, is they were out of bounds, and honestly, this is why I wanted the area to be larger to where they would have more room to work. He's sort of inside control, but
he's not fully established and
he's not fully established the control to get the takedown points either. And they stop it and they start it back in the middle and they gave him the points. It's like, well, it wasn't established yet and they had gone out of bounds. So I don't know the whole rules when it comes to the Marianas Open to begin with.
I assume they're using IBJJF rules.
Sort of.
They're a very, very similar rule set to IBJJF.
But still, I mean, Canuto was pissed because he was like, I'm starting in this position. I'm going to lose the points. I was fighting to not have these points scored against me, and you stopped me, and you're automatically giving this person the points. From there, Canuto couldn't really do anything to mount an offense to score back and try to run away with it. And he ended up losing off of that. So I'd be pissed, especially the amount of money they were going to get paid. Like, I'm going to be mad.
So I'm going to let you guys behind the curtain here. We just paused the recording for about 10 minutes and went through this match kind of play by play. And Josh schooled me on how points are scored.
Well, Maine was talking about the score was wrong then because it ended at 2-0. Maine was like, well, it's not possible because he took him down in open space. I was
Later in the match.
like,
Behance, I thought Behance had taken Canuto down, and the commentary stated he took him down later in the match. And I went, okay. And in my eyes, it was clearly a takedown. And I went, I'm not sure why the score is then listed at 2-0 because at the finals, because we've already seen the 2 points for the match. So if you score any additional points for the rest of the match,
would have been more
points.
So how I explained it is Canuto tried to sweep.
So the Canuto's in a bottom position.
He's in the bottom. He's
Behance
trying to
is in
come
a top
up.
position.
He tried to sweep him from this like X-guardish kind of position, and Behance is fighting it, gets knocked to his butt, and Canuto comes up, never establishes the position to consider it a sweep. Behance comes up with it, but grabs the leg and then returns him to the ground. At no point did Behance start a sweep because no guard was initiated, and takedowns originate from the feet.
You mean Canuto start a sweep?
No. So Canuto didn't finish it.
Canuto did not finish the sweep.
Did not finish his sweep, but you can't consider what Izaki did a sweep because he never... No.
Okay.
He got knocked down, but as Canuto came up, Behance also came up, and he grabbed the leg. So you can't consider it a sweep because there was no guard established.
Oh, okay. So I understand. You were a step
Behance
in front of me.
Never established the guard, and then he brought him back down. Well, the other thing is takedowns originate from the feet. So he was on his ass and then grabbed up the leg and then returned him to the mat. So essentially what happened was a failed sweep where Behance ended up on top. But if you're not sort of familiar, and don't get me wrong, I'm not the end-all be-all of referees, and that's how I interpret it. I'm pretty sure that's how it was interpreted.
That's why there was no points scored, probably.
But somebody can call me out and be like, no, this is the reason why it should have been points. But there was a little bit of controversy, but this was a really exciting match.
In my years of doing jiu-jitsu and in our group of friends, whenever anyone has a refereeing question as to why something happened, why something didn't happen, Josh gets tagged in it. And Josh will usually come, watch the match or watch whatever question someone has and then go, X, Y, and Z, this is the reason why it should be scored like this based on whatever rule set that the match is taking place under. Because Josh refs pretty frequently for a number of organizations.
So, I ref enough. I wouldn't say pretty frequently, but enough. I've been doing it for a while. I frequently stay up with the rules. So,
So learn your rules. And this was, if you're going to, go back and watch this match just to better understand what the rules do. Because I was confused. Well, I watch a lot of sport jiu-jitsu, and even I was confused why certain stuff wasn't scored or was scored a certain way.
So that was the finals. The third place match happened before this with Masahiro Iwasaki versus Servio Tullio. Iwasaki pulled guard so quick, immediately went to this weird sort of half guard, like looking like he was going to dig to go under the deep half, rolls up and comes on top and gets a quick 2, and immediately just gets tight and stays down and in. Like the Servio could not mount anything, but Iwasaki also knew don't stand up because Servio's De La Hiva hook is dangerous. So it wasn't until the end that Iwasaki looked like he potentially could have passed, but man, that's another one from Carpe Diem that I love watching. It's a very interesting and tight match to watch. Watch it.
So that does it for the lightweights. Onto the heavyweights, which was 180 and above. Kind of a weird distinction because they had lightweights up to 160.
180.
Sorry, never mind. I'm an idiot then. That makes perfect sense. Lightweights are under 180 and heavyweight. I thought there was a 20-pound difference. I thought lightweight was 160, and I was like, why do they just have this 20-pound difference in the middle? So under 180 is lightweights. Above 180 is heavyweight, which is a pretty large gradation.
Yeah. Well, Josh Jerome competed against Jacob Guerrero, and they actually had to battle into the bracket, and Josh Jerome won by knee bar. So that brings us to the quarterfinals where Felipe Trovo defeated Eric Sion. I think that's how they were saying it.
I think they were saying it's Sion.
Okay. He defeated him by points 4-0. Felipe Pena did what Felipe Pena does and defeated Josh Jerome by armbar. Tanner Rice defeated Viking Wong 4-2 on points.
This is a good back and forth match.
Yes, it was. Jackson Souza defeated Muhammad Ali by 1 advantage point.
This is what it looks like when two dudes want to play their game on the feet and neither one will concede anything.
Yeah, it was kind of tiring. This was getting way later into the night as well.
Oh yeah, it was late, and both these guys stood in that heavyweight jiu-jitsu stance, like completely 90-degree bent over with the collar, dragging the other guy down, and they would try that forward snap down or like a leg grab, but neither one would really commit. You have to let the other guy get over top the shoulders and turn and take the back. Or it was pretty much an entire match of neither person conceding a takedown.
So that bumps us over to semifinals. Jackson Souza defeated Felipe Trovo 2-0, and that's where all of Jackson Souza's energy went, was that match. And you'll find out in a second why. And Felipe Pena defeated Tanner Rice by points. It was, oh God, I can't even remember what the points were. But Felipe definitely passed. He swept him. It was, I mean, you could tell the difference. And Tanner's become a larger guy since I remember seeing him at lightweight. So,
but Felipe's a big dude.
Dude, he's
and
on
Tanner
another level.
Not as big of a dude. He's definitely like upper in the weight class now, but I think Felipe is he a weight class above Tanner, or are they the same weight class right now?
I think they're in the same weight class.
Okay. Both those guys have moved weight classes, so.
Yes. The finals. Felipe Pena beat the brakes off of Jackson Souza.
That is one way to put it, Josh.
Yo, he transitioned through the positions multiple times. He styled on him. Styled and profiled. 18-2.
That's getting beat.
Jackson Souza had like zero energy. He burnt it all out between Ali and Trovo. Like absolutely zero energy. Sort of like how we feel when we start getting closer to midnight and we're like, wow, we are still recording. That's what Jackson Souza was feeling. Jackson Souza let the inner Herbert come out in him. I love using that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But no, he just looked tired. And Felipe's
also a super active guy that like you can't be tired against.
No, you can't, or you get scored 18 points on.
He will rack up a score on you, and like he's a dude that just outpoints guys. And if you don't,
submits you.
Yeah, well, yeah. Why do you got to break what I'm saying, Josh?
I'm just trying to bring you back down to earth.
But defeats Souza 18-0 in the third place match.
18-2.
18-2. In the third place match, Tanner Rice defeats Trovo.
It's the fever. It's the fever.
It's the fever, Josh. It's the fever.
14-2. Again, getting styled on. Like when you start building up those big leads, like Leandro Lowe type leads where you're winning 40 some odd points to nothing. Man, Cyborg versus Eric
the thing is, both
Sacknoff.
These guys are good, too.
Yes.
I think Cyborg only beat Sacknoff by like 25-0.
That's a lot of points.
That is
still.
A lot of points, actually, though.
Not 100 to nothing like I also want. 100% submission rate, 100 points.
Dude, I would love to do that purple belt.
Not 100 to nothing. Just you get to 100 points somehow.
We calculated it out. I think you need to score, go through the positions, I think 11 or 17 times or something like that.
6 times, I think it was. Something like that.
Math is not my strong suit.
I know. Again, a majority of these videos are up on Flow already.
I think all of them are up, actually.
Not all of them, but a majority of them are up on Flow. Hey, Flow, if you need guys to just aggregate videos for you, we got you.
No, we don't, Josh.
Hey, no. Yes, we do.
We covered 200 grapplers last week.
If they're going to pay me to aggregate video and get it up in a timely fashion, I'm all about that life.
Josh, I'm going to you now do all the editing for this show.
I am. No, because this will become a job where they pay me to do it.
That's not, I'm not going to pay you to edit the podcast.
Right, but I'm saying if Flo's like, yeah, we'll get you guys to do this, trust and believe. I'm going to change a little few things. I'm going to make sure the whole entire event, the video is in one chunk. So if people want to watch and get that experience of that whole event, great. If you want match by match, you'll have that too. But you will have video up mere hours after the event happens.
Get at him, Josh Weinstock, at chops _and_.
Chops and chokes. There's some underscores in there. Nobody likes saying all them underscores. You can get at Maine Does Jiu-Jitsu, and he will get in contact with me as well. You can hit us up at Grappling Rewind on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, grapplingrewind@gmail.com.
I don't even know
Let me
show
know.
Yet. I don't know we're doing the plug now.
I'm plugging it
We
now.
haven't previewed anything yet,
Flow
Josh.
Grappling. What's up, Highwell Teague? Talk to me.
We haven't previewed anything. So that does it for the Marianas Open.
It's always a great event. I love when it comes around. I love watching it. More Marianas Open.
Shout out to the commentator, by the way.
There we go, yeah.
They basically made me want to go to Guam. Like between every match, they were like, "Oh, people in Guam are so friendly, and it's such a great place to be." And out here representing Guam Jiu-Jitsu and all these local guys from Guam. They made me want to go to Guam. I went, I don't know where Guam is because I'm not a very good geography guy.
You're not. You are geographically challenged.
I am, Josh. That's why my name is Maine. And dude, I want to go to Guam now.
All right.
It looks like there's great
Guam.
jiu-jitsu there, and it looks like it's a tropical paradise.
It is.
So, shout out to Marianas Open. So, moving on to the preview section of the show. Next week, again, is packed as the previous week and the previous week before that. And the week before that has been. We have Brazilian Nationals. We have US Grappling Team Trials. We have Fight to Win Pro 72 in Pittsburgh. We have UAE King of the Mats.
The
we
World
have
Pro.
UAE World Pro. Well, King of the Mats is a separate event to World Pro.
But it's still run by the same people.
It is, but they're different events, Josh.
You want to hear something cool about the Brazilian Nationals? In the male black belt division alone, there's 264 competitors.
Josh, that's like 6 Miamis for Fight to Win Pro.
The lightweight bracket alone has 55 black belts.
55 black belts.
55.
That's so many.
You almost have a legitimate 64-man bracket.
Black belt bracket.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Literally, I cannot imagine what that building is going to be like.
Oh, insane.
For that. It's like everyone can kill everyone.
Insane. And this is something else that we noticed that you've heard us complain about it before. It's like the female divisions are lacking in competitors. There's 30 adult female black belts.
Again, not huge, but 30. Oh, and a cool thing is
it goes up to Masters 4.
There are female black belts competing up to Masters 4. There are 4 female black belts in Masters 4. Like IBJJF, I think maybe UAE. I don't think UAE does it. I think IBJJF is the only organization that has above Masters 1 for black belts. So although the divisions are sparse, I'm happy they're there. And you have female representation up at Masters 4. Josh,
Awesome.
That's like 97 years old.
Not even close.
Josh, everything
That's
above
rude as shit.
Yo, everything above Masters
Women
2
don't
is like
age
65.
past like 36. You should know better.
Oh, right. So Masters 4 is maybe like 42.
I just said they don't age past 36. Your mom is only 36 years old. My mom is only 36 years old. Don't ever talk badly about a woman's age. You will get stabbed.
Josh, you are correct.
You dummy. It's like, hey, how old are you right now? You're going to get hit in the head. And one of these women at Masters 4 will murk you.
They're black belts, Josh. That's implied.
Yeah. They're only 36 years old. They'll beat the shit out of you.
Yeah. So that will do it for our preview of Brazilian Nationals.
There are
because
so many competitors. I
because
mean, that's its
realistically-
own show by itself, essentially.
realistically, even to read off 264 names for the brackets would be forever,
Going to
plus
sleep.
the females, plus everyone else, plus any highlight brown belts we're going to
Like Bones.
talk about. I'm literally speechless for how we theoretically would cover this event and preview it.
I will let you know the winners of the event, and then you go, who won lightweight? He had to battle through so many people in a 55-man bracket.
To finish, to win I think in a 55-man elimination bracket, you have to win, is it 9? Or is it like 7?
Because it goes, if you go 64, it goes 64 to 32 to 16 to 8 to 4 to 2. 6 matches.
Okay, that's still
Not
a lot
9.
of black belt matches.
And that all depends on where you're coming from. So this might be, you might only have 5 matches, possibly even 4, but anywhere between 4 and 6 matches.
That's a lot of black belt matches.
Yeah, it is.
I think this is probably the second biggest tournament in the world for IBJJF.
Numbers wise, I think it's the biggest. I mean, you have to qualify for
You think Worlds is bigger? Oh, you think Worlds is less because you don't need points?
You need points for Worlds.
Okay.
So this might be just completely open and anybody can jump in, and that's why there's 264 people in it.
Black belts.
In the black
Not
belts.
even. I didn't even bother to look at like blue
I accidentally clicked on the kids one, and I was like, "Why are you telling me like yellow belt Pee Wee 3?" I'm like, I don't know what that is. And then I kept going through, and I was like, "Oh, I clicked on the kids one."
So massive event. Excited. Guys that win Brazilian Nationals are
tough
murderers because you got to get through so many guys. Like, I wonder, we could look it up, but I'm not going to do it. How many people are in the blue belt middleweight bracket? That's always pretty much the
375. I'm just going to take it.
It's usually always the biggest division of any tournament is blue belt middleweight. So
something like that, yeah. Those whole anything blue belt is pretty big.
Yeah, but usually the curve is usually like I am usually the second biggest division when I was blue belt doing pans, and then the biggest division is one weight class above me.
Okay. So that's Brazilian Nationals. King of Mats, not King of the Mats. King of Mats is what they're calling it. It's really interesting because they're doing a round robin tournament in each of the weight classes. So you have to keep competing against everybody else in it. So Group A in lightweight has Samuel Caranquino, Jose Lima, Izaki Paiva, Hiago George, and Leonardo Sagerio. So they're going to all go against each other in a round robin. Group B has Celso Vinicius, Gianni Grippo, Thiago Bravo, Thiago Marquez, and Wang Ki Che. They're all going to go against each other.
So, by the way, all these guys are invited.
Yes, they're all former champions.
This is King of Mats. This is an invitation event. This is their invitation bracket.
This is the first thing because it's been 10 years, right?
Yep. This is their 10-year anniversary. They're commemorating 10 years of UAE, and they're putting on this King of Mats event.
I should know this. I did the first UAE event in America.
Did you?
Yep. Drove down to Florida for it.
1950s, Josh?
Or 2008. I think I might still have the shirt.
Really? That's actually kind of cool.
It's a giant shirt, too.
I was not doing jiu-jitsu back then.
Oh, how about that? So they're all going to go against each other. And then the 2 most winning people in each division then go to a semis where it becomes single elimination. So you have 2 guys from Group A, 2 guys from Group B. They compete, and then they have a final. And then you figure out your King of Mat that's the lightweight. Middleweight, Andre Galvao, Tanner Rice, Jamie Canuto, Charles Negromonte.
Big names. The question is, when's the last time you've seen Galvao compete?
Like a year or 2 ago.
Yeah, what?
In that.
It's not
in
been
like the gi type thing.
Not been recently though. I haven't seen him.
ADCC, Superfight.
I think the Superfight, that was the only thing that we've ever covered him for on this show.
We've covered so much I can't even remember. Group B, Roberto Satoshi, Hanato Canuto, Tarsus Humphreys, Clark Gracie. That's someone who we haven't seen compete in forever.
Yeah, how'd they get him on?
He's a former champion, so you're in there like swimwear.
Prize money.
Hey,
when is the last time you saw Clark compete?
No idea.
It's been
at least 3 years, I want to say.
2 or 3 at least.
Can't remember. Anyway, heavyweight, Group A, Antonio Braga Neto, Gerard Lubinsky, Alexander Trans, Helton Silva Jr. Group B, Lucio Lagarto Rodriguez, Alexandre Souza, Roberto Cyborg Abreu, and Andre Campos. This is going to be a wild little event.
This whole tournament this is the who's who of guys for jiu-jitsu.
Well, these are also the people that accepted the invites that were in there.
Still, I think it's
going to be pretty interesting.
To get Galvao and Clark out of retirement to go and compete.
I wouldn't say retirement. I'm just saying you're getting people there and you're paying them.
Dude, if you took off 6 months from jiu-jitsu, you retired now.
following this, you have UAE World Pro, the big tournament at the end of the year. You've got a ton of people competing in that.
Again, end of the UAE calendar year.
Yes.
Yeah, which is in June. I mean, not June.
April.
My bad, Josh.
It's April.
Josh, it's midnight now.
Yes, I'm
My
aware.
brain hurt.
I'm aware. I've got to get up early and go to the gym.
The fever.
I'm aware. So you have a whole bunch of people in all of these different divisions, people hopping around. Gianni Grippo's doing that as well as this King of Mat. Angelica Galvao is competing in the 90 kilo division.
Really?
Yes.
I knew she's a taller woman. I did not know.
She's not that heavy. She was like, I've never done open weight or never really jumped up a weight class. So she decided to jump in to.
Good for her.
Yeah.
It's exciting. We'll see how she does.
I think she'll do okay.
I would assume as well.
Bianca Basilio's in it. You've got so many people in this, and what's even crazier is they readjusted it last year to where if there are more than 2 people from your country representing it, you have to compete in a bracket to be the second representative.
Dude, that's crazy.
So you've got all of these Brazilian brackets of people going in.
The bracket before the actual bracket.
And some of those brackets are more brutal than the actual bracket that you have to compete in.
You have a national tournament. It's like you have a national tournament before you get to represent your country, before you get to go into the actual tournament.
Yeah. So you have to do a whole tournament. And it was just introduced the year previous.
How is this not a movie?
It is to me. All of this stuff starts at like 2 o'clock in the morning, East Coast time anyway.
Oh, man, that's terrible, Josh.
Central time 1. Pacific is what? 12? 11?
Jiu-Jitsu needs a DVR. 11. It needs a DVR.
You could set up something to record it. I mean, if you were smarter than you or I, you could probably set something up to record it. But
we're not.
We're not very smart, so we're not recording it. This is also going to be wild. I'm not going super into depth about it because there's so much shit that's going on that we're gonna have to recap like a week's worth of jiu-jitsu for just one event. That does not include Fight to Win Pro, the King of Mats, any of that stuff. It's gonna be a shitload of stuff.
So that'll do it for UAE. On to USA Grappling World Team Trials in Las Vegas, Nevada.
This is the strangest event I've ever seen. Like last year I watched it and I didn't understand what was going on. The gi division, everybody had like one person had one color belt, the other person had another color belt, and that was it. And you're like, what is Josh Hinger doing competing against these other people? What are these? This guy's a blue belt, and like he beat some supposed black belt. It was really weird.
So it's got super strange rules.
That's just in the gi. The no gi rules are also kind of strange. It was hard to watch, but you're essentially representing. This is the trials to represent USA in grappling worlds. Last time they did this that I can recall was for the organization FILA, and you would have like USA versus, Kazakhstan, all sorts of different countries come together and, you fight through and you try to win and we're the best. The rule set's strange to me. Like, obviously we're gonna watch it and I'm gonna have to get more into the rules, but it's also kind of weird. It's all on Pacific time.
It's in Vegas. It's in Vegas.
Yep. Starts on Wednesday, right? Where you have to, it starts on Thursday. So they're doing all the weigh-ins and all the other stuff, and then they do all the competition. So let's see.
By the way, Josh has explained this much nicer than he explained it to me.
It's just very strange.
It's a very strange event that runs in a very strange way. It typically has some very strange results based on its very strange rule set.
So it starts at noontime East Coast, 3 p.m. Pacific, and they do the whole gi thing, in about 3 hours, roughly. Friday is an all-day thing where they're doing all the weigh-ins and all the setup, and the preliminary rounds start at like 4 o'clock Eastern time, 1 p.m. Pacific, it goes all the way up to where once the preliminaries are done, they wait until later at night, midnight East Coast time.
To do the second session.
The finals. First and second session. The finals and the medals.
So if you want to watch this strange event, it will be broadcast on Flow Grappling.
And it's not bad. We're saying strange like it's bad, but it's just different.
Yeah, Josh and I are used to, you watch enough submission grappling, professional grappling, you're used to kind of strange and odd rule sets, but this event definitely runs just differently than most we're used to seeing throughout the year. And so that's why we're saying weird and strange, because it doesn't work like other events we're used to seeing. It's really its own thing in its own kind of way. So that is on broadcast on Flow. That is happening next week. If you're interested, check it out. So on to events we are much more familiar with covering. Fight to Win Pro 72 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It is main evented by a 220-pound black belt no-gi match, Tom DeBlas versus Lou. What is that name, Josh?
Armazzani.
Lou Armazzani.
You're welcome.
I've not seen Tom DeBlas compete since ADCC.
He competed on the Jersey card of Fight to Win, the one that I was on originally.
That was after ADCC. That was after ADCC. Sorry, before ADCC.
Was it?
Yeah. You were fat then, Josh. You were skinny when CDC happened.
Was I?
Josh, that was last year. It was like 2016.
I can't. 2017.
Were you fat in 2017?
Yeah. Up until like September.
Yo, we need like a before fat and after fat date, Josh.
I'll send you those pictures.
Yeah, so this is the first time I've seen Tom DeBlas compete in
a while.
So it'll be interesting to see how he looks back down to, from his giant weight to his lower weight.
Giant weight to his lower weight. You talk about me or Tom DeBlas?
Tom DeBlas.
He's always kind of been shredded as of recently.
Yeah, he has. Yeah. So he's looking at 220 now. This is a no-gi bout. This is co-main evented by
Isaac Greeley versus John Stutzman. There's no weight class for that, so it's a co-main event. 170-pound black belt gi match. Jacob Myclot versus Jay Wadsworth.
I think we've seen Wadsworth before. I think we've seen both these guys before, actually.
Possibly. Again, it's getting late. I'm forgetting stuff. 155-pound black belt no-gi match. Dominic Mazzota versus John Lawrence. 140-pound black belt gi match. Tommy Costa versus Kevin Goodwin. 175-pound black belt gi match. Cameron Leinhart versus Joshua Cole. 130-pound no-gi match. Nate Stevens versus Rob Hillman. After that, we go into the brown belts. No championship matches for that. Pittsburgh's a gritty town, so I'm expecting some gritty dudes getting down.
Probably some good matchups. Like, again, Pittsburgh has some good black belts, has some good competitors. It's fun. They usually put on a good show.
Indeed. So I'm looking forward to that. There's more. April is like this whole entire month of lots and lots of coverage.
Josh, it's been crazy the entire month. Like April on to now, we've had, I think last week we had 200. We had 200 grapplers. This week we have 700 with Brazilian Nationals happening. So it's been a crazy week for all things grappling.
Indeed.
So that'll do it for this week's preview section of the show.
That'll do it for this week's episode. As you can hear, my voice still doesn't want to cooperate with me. It goes in and out.
Yeah, dear May, please have less than 4 to 5 events
a week
for the first couple weeks. Just give us a little bit of a reprieve while I move into this new house and we adjust into the new studio.
How about just give me one thing where it's like, hey, we're covering Fight to Win. Here's the previews. Fight to Win. All right, cool. 20-minute episode. Done.
That'd be kind of great. But we'd fill it with an hour. It'd be 85-minute episode of us talking about Fight to Win.
It would be an 85-minute episode of us talking shit about each other. And of that 85 minutes, 20 minutes will be about grappling.
So that does it for this week's episode. I've been Maine.
I'm occasionally Josh.
We'll see you on the mats.
As always, you can email us at thegrapplingrewind@gmail.com. You can check us out on Stitcher, iTunes, YouTube, and pretty much anywhere you can find
Facebook
podcasts. We're on Facebook, Grappling Rewind.
Instagram,
Grappling Rewind.
Twitter,
Grappling Rewind.
Reach out to us on social media. If you got something that you want us to cover, you want to clarify, we are here.
You want to tell us we're idiots. Hey, let us know.
You want us to pronounce your name correctly?
Let us know. Subscribe on the YouTube page. Leave us a review.
Helps us out a lot.
It helps us out, and it eventually will help you out. We like to give back. We're doing this as something that isn't done, so help us help you. Again, as always, I'm Josh.
I'm Maine.
And this is the Grappling Rewind podcast.
We'll see you on the mats.